Bonjour mes amis et bienvenue au Pendu dans un Cercle de Lune. Hello friends, if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you surely know from my attempt at a French introduction to this video that this is my series in which I use Tarot de Marseille adjacent, or antique Italian decks to help me unpack or dive more deeply and get a clearer message from my larger weekly tarot and oracle spread, which I've already done. I did my big spread for this week, and I think I titled that spread, Let Go and Let God. Now, if you have not already seen that video, I'll put a card up here for you to hop on over and take a look at that first, so you get the context from which today's video and today's question is being answered. Now, just in case you did see that video and it's been a while, you don't have to watch the videos all in one chunk. You can space it out. Watch 15 minutes here, then continue another 10 minutes there, then watch another 15 minutes there another time. Yeah, maybe you've watched that whole video in bits and pieces and maybe you're having a little bit of trouble piecing it all together. And so let me give you just a brief, really core message that I think came from that video and why I called it Let Go and Let God. The whole spread began with the Ten of Swords upright, which was, yes, we've gone through some things, some stuff has happened, but there's a radiant beam of a rainbow bridge that is beaming through the divine tear of sympathy that is being shed. And the path is being shown forward. But we've got some things that we got to do. We want to get our crap together psychologically, emotionally, be sure that we aren't being reactive, and we want to allow what is growing to grow. And a lot of what was growing was finding balance, finding our temperate climate, finding our feet, perhaps even, and reaching out by, again, finding our temperance, finding our balance, and finding union with both ourselves, with the eternal nature that we are. You know that we are eternal beings having a temporary human experience, right? Finding that union, and also union with other. And the advice for that spread was twofold. Heal ancestral trauma, ancestral wounds, reabsorb and own our ancestral stories, and find the power and strength that is flowing towards us from our ancestors, while at the same time letting go of what feels like a burden or an impossibility to Ganesh, to let go and let God. Because Ganesh, the divine, is ready to light up a path when we're ready to see it and experience the miracle of that path being revealed to us. That was basically the general gist of the message from this week's spread. So I want two things. One, I'd like confirmation that my reading is accurate. Did I get the message that was being portrayed? And how can I condense that message into just a few more, into like a sentence or a couple of sentences? What is the central message? I started asking this question when I started doing my Tree of Life spread. And my Tree of Life spread I did for about 3 lunar cycles, I believe. That was a huge monstrosity, a big spread. And there are so many moving parts and pieces that I started asking the question, what is the central message of this week's Tree of Life spread? And I asked that of the Tarot de Marseille adjacent, or antique Italian decks. And that seemed to be working out really well. So now that I've switched over to my Tree of Life, my Ace of Wands spread, that's the name of the spread that I've been using for last week and this week, I'm continuing that question. What is the central message of this week's Ace of Wands spread? So, friends, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that question just so you get a brief visual confirmation of what I just said. and then I will show you the cards that came out as a response to that question, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so here we go. What do you think of that deck, of those cards? I think that this is a treasure of a deck, and I'm very sorry that it is unavailable. This is a deck. It's actually not one deck. Now, in around 2020 something, I believe, it was discovered that a deck that they thought was one deck was actually two decks combined. There were about 26 cards from one deck, and the rest of the cards were from another deck. The deck's creators were Guilaume Dubesset and Claude Valentin from the late 17th century, the late 1600s. So it's an old deck, but not the oldest deck. I mean, it's not a Rosenwald or a Tarot of the Bohemians or Visconti Sforza, but still, it's an oldish deck. And it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. And it has a lot of black in it, which I think is really interesting. And I wish it were available to the masses. The deck that I have was a 20 deck printing allowed by the British Museum by Marco Benedetti and Shell David. Sorry, Shell David. Shell David. There was another printing actually done by another creator, which I accidentally stumbled online, but that was several years ago, and that is also sold out. So I'm sorry for that, but I did a walkthrough of this deck, and as I did the walkthrough of this deck, if you want to see that walkthrough, I'll put a card up here for you to hop on over and take a look at that walkthrough, because it really is a gorgeous deck. Really fascinating, very well done facsimile reproduction of that deck. But in that video, I said that I wanted to use this deck for this week's video. So here I am, using that deck. And so I asked the question, what is the central message of this week's Ace of Wands spread? And I gotta admit, I was a little bit taken aback briefly when the first card I laid out, as you saw, was the Death card. Now, yes, Tarot de Marseille, this card is the nameless card, right? It's card 13. However, did you notice that this card in this deck is named? Some 13 cards in Tarot de Marseille actually have names, and this name is really interesting. I don't know if you can see this clearly here, but we have at the beginning La, and then we have the number 13 in Roman numerals, XIII, and then instead of mort, we have mors, which is really la mors, which is really interesting. A little bit of a spelling mistake, I believe. But yeah, so we have la mors instead of la mort. But we got a gorgeous card. And you see the typical skeleton holding a typical scythe. And you see that the scythe is black, right? But notice the ground. Above the scythe, the ground is all gold. Below the scythe, where the two heads are, the ground is no longer gold, but basically pinkish, right? Which is interesting. And I think adds to the reading of this card. So we got La Mors instead of La Morte or death. And then we got the 7 of coins and then the 4 of wands. And we'll read in that direction. So we're going to start off with La Mors. Which means things like change, suffering is possible. Cycles ending, possible. There could be a profound transformation here. Yeah? And a suggestion to eliminate that which blocks us. Which are key elements, I believe, from this week's Ace of Wands spread. Yeah? There is a profound transformation in that 10 of Swords. And then the advice was to allow ourselves to eliminate the blocks, things that block us. And this elimination can be active elimination, like going and getting rid of stuff, but it could be things like healing the wounds. That was one of the suggestions, one of the bits of advice from the spread. Heal the trauma of our past, heal the trauma of our ancestors. Ancestral trauma, ancestral anxieties, and ancestral addictions as well. And also to eliminate those things which are internal to us, that are knocking off our stability. This card could also be the end of an illusion, a revolution, revolutionary attitude. But there are also things like harvesting and cleansing and keeping only that which is essential. There's also the possibility of the work of the subconscious here. The eradication of the old to make way for the new is possible here. But things like harvest and cleansing and keeping only that which is essential and eliminating that which blocks us, I think were really key, especially looking at this card. Seeing that the scythe is clearing away and moving in the direction of the gold and that which is left behind. So it looks like this death card is harvesting this gold color here. Right? As the scythe goes by, what is left no longer has gold in it, and the scythe is moving in the direction of harvesting the gold. And the gold could be coin, currency, but the gold could be the active principle. The gold could be the alchemical transformation that we are in the process of creating, alchemizing. Now the final step of alchemy is to harvest the gold, right? So that could be what this card is reminding us of. That, yes, end of a cycle, but there's gold and then there are hills for us to harvest. Cleaning, taking that which is essential and leaving the crap that's left behind. And that crap that is left behind apparently is other people's heads. Yeah, leaving other people's thoughts, beliefs, all that garbage behind and harvesting that which is good, which is beneficial for us, and being ready to do the next thing. And that next thing is this 7 of coins. Beautifully designed card, lovely coins, very typical. I love the softness and the worn look to the background of this card. I love the frame, the line being inconsistent around the border of the card. Just a gorgeous rendition. And yet the image is very clear, right? So what is the 7 of coins? It's community wealth, could be. It could be investing in the community, bringing our resources out into the community as well. It could be acceptance of what is. Now we got a 4 base, stable base, and we've got an active principle above of 3 coming down into that base of 4. So it could be the spiritualization of matter or the materialization of spirit. Yeah, we've got an interaction here between matter and spirit. Well, that's one way to read that 7 of coins. Money is used to support research and information as well. Now, we invest not only in people, but in activities like research and information creation and information gathering. Also, something that is something newly created could be well received here. But here I think, especially coming from this card of what I believe is harvesting, at the end of a transformational cycle, we harvest that gold and now we come and we invest it in the community. Whatever that community is. Whether it's our families, whether it's our friends, whether it's our work, our where we do our business. Boy, that didn't sound the way I wanted to sound. Where we conduct business. Not like a dog does its business outside, but where we conduct business, right? And also that those things that we create are spiritually based. All matter is spirit and transforms back into spirit at the end of the life cycle. Because, for example, these beautiful bodies that we're co-creating, we are eternal beings having this human experience co-creating these bodies. So that's spirit being materialized. Spirit is manifesting as atoms, as quarks, as photons, as chairs and tables, as dogs and cats, as people, as oceans, as planets, as stars. So that is also we're reminded of those things here, but I think especially that idea of gathering what we can gather, what we can harvest, and now investing it in those that we are allowing ourselves to unite with. And that carries us over to the Four of Wands. Now, I don't know if you noticed this when you saw all three cards together, or you can see it now. But there's a shadow printing to this Four of Wands card. Can you see that? Let me see if I can point it out to you. Can you see? Let me see. I'm here moving the cards around so you can't see them. But here, right where my fingernail is, can you see the ghost image of two wands there? Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but they're there. Yeah? What else do we see as ghost imaging? Yeah, down here at the bottom, you can see ghost images of two more sets of two wands down here at the very bottom. So there's a ghosting image here. There's that which is obvious and that which is not obvious behind in this very stable card of the Four of Wands, which is what? Which is routines, it's steadiness, it's perseverance, it's developing habits as well. That's the stability of our creativity, the stability of our work in the world, our passions are stabilized. And so routined. Our desires can also become reality here. That desire becomes materially manifest, solid in the fours. There's also the possibility of sexual expression with a stable partner, whatever that means for you. Making a living with our creative efforts is possible here because, yeah, we do the routine of our creativity because there's some kind of a benefit for us. Yeah, it could be making a living. Assuming our power in a very stable way. Like the emperor, the four. The emperor is four, right? Assuming our power of creativity and our libido, which is also a wands kind of thing. Our libido, our sexual libido, but also the kind of libido of power of Adler. Yeah? And when I say Adler, I mean the scholar Adler, his concept of libido, which is different than Freud's concept of libido. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, we've got all of that. So what does that mean? Now we went from the 7 where we're investing into the community, those things that we've harvested after our transformation, and maybe this card is here to remind us that yes, and we can now allow that action to become our creative routine. That we harvest what we can and we share the wealth, and we harvest what we can and we share the wealth, and that becomes a developing habit, our routine, our new way of transforming both our experience into gold and sharing the gold so that it increases as it moves into the community. Wealth shared does not diminish, it increases. And so I think that's what this is pointing to. Now, we go through that transformative, possibly painful experience, but there's gold to be gained here. And that gold that we harvest, the ends of the illusions, the revolutionary ideas, but also the good stuff that we can keep from that, we can share. And that can create something new in the community. It could be a kind of investment, and it could be a way for us to be more readily accepted by those around us. But there's also that idea of, as we share, we spiritualize the matter that we have shared. And as we do that, as we see the benefits that that action has for us, we can then allow that to become our new routine. We can allow that to strengthen the union of us with other. Whoever it is that we're sharing those resources, that gold that we've harvested with, that can strengthen our union. And that's our way of allowing ourselves to follow the divine path. Because that is the way the divine has created, I believe. How this universe has come into creation. By the transformation of the oneness into a slicing, like the death card, into 2s and then 4s and then 8s and then multitudes. And then sharing all of that. And then it becoming an increasing routine and a steady development of expansion in the universe. That's the way the universe was created and how things are. And as we participate in that divine action, then we are letting go and letting God light our path, which we flow through, which we follow with the powerful current of our intention, which is one stream within a combined current of all of the currents of all of the streams of intention of every being in this universe. Does that make sense? Can you see how these 3 cards gave us a very clear core message from that larger spread for this week? And doing the routine, developing the routine of sharing the gold that we've harvested. How that is following the divine path. And of opening up to allowing resources to come in and to flow out. To nourish us and then nourish others. That makes sense, right? If it does, let me know in the comments below. If it does not, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see if you had a different reading. I'd love to hear what you think of this deck. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up button if you're still here. It tells YouTube that other people will like this video. It draws more eyes to the channel. It helps the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. Comment below. That would be wonderful for me. I'd love to hear what you think. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the thumbs up button. Hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. I'm thinking of doing a 3rd video in the next week. I hope I'll get around to it. It's a VR, and I don't do VRs very often, but I've got an idea for how I want to do this, so I think I'm going to do it. So hit that alarm bell. And if you want a reading from me, my email address is below. Shoot me an email to thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. We'll get you a reading, whatever you want. Tarot de Marseille, Waite Smith, big spread, small spread, by video, by email, by photo, by voice message, whatever you want, by Zoom, your choice. There are many possibilities in this universe, and I'm here to provide what I can. I'm going to do the 7 of coins for you. Yeah, so there we are. Thank you very much. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.